Hello, It's Us is dedicated to educating the general public about issues which are of importance to the disability community. And our premise is that we believe that as you watch episodes of Hello, It's Us, you'll understand that issues that are important to people with disabilities are important to everyone. Hello, It's Us is brought to you through a collaboration between the University of Iowa Center for Disabilities and Development, Uptown Bill's Coffee Shop, and our good friends here at Public Access TV. My name is Mike Honick, and I work for the Center for Disabilities and Development and serve as one of the co-hosts for Hello, It's Us. Keith?
I'm Keith Buff. I'm the other co-host. I'm currently retired and working on the book.
We're all anxious to read that,
yes.
So we can schedule you for a show.
Yeah.
Well, the focus of today's program is something very unique, I think anyway. I'm slowly coming into the world of technology, and this is a new service in Iowa called mysupport.com, and I'm not even going to begin to describe it because we have a guest here who can do that, and we'd like to welcome that guest, Angela Salvador. Welcome, Angela.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Angela.
Thank you, Mike and Keith. I'm very glad to be here. As Mike said, my name is Angela Salvador, and I'm the MySupport Iowa community provider. Community manager. I'm very excited to be a part of MySupport and bringing it to Iowa. I have a background as a direct service provider as well as a targeted case manager and director of one of Iowa's Centers for Independent Living. And I was introduced to MySupport through a good friend of mine, Dawn Francis. She's the director of the Iowa Statewide Independent Living Council.
Great, and I know that MySupport is fairly new to Iowa, and I think they were advertising for a position, I think, right?
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. I was very pleased to be introduced to my CEO, Ari Nyaman. Ari is a pretty great individual and a wonderful advocator for autism across the nation. And so I've been very pleased to be able to work with him and the co-founder, Ryan Easterly, to be able to bring MySupport to Iowa.
When was the inception of the program? Iowa?
Sure. MySupport went live to Iowa on April 1st. We actually were live with the transition to managed care. We got to partner with AmeriGroup, one of the MCOs that has been brought to Iowa through the managed care program. And AmeriGroup has helped us to offer the service free of charge to Consumer Choice Options clients across Iowa.
Well, why don't you introduce us a little bit to MySupport, and then and what it does, how it works, and
Certainly.
So forth, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about some of those eligibility criteria and how people can get hooked up to it.
Absolutely. So MySupport is essentially a provider directory. It's an online platform that allows consumers and workers to be able to match together based on their values, lifestyles, preferences for how services are provided, and so forth. It has been affectionately referred to as the Match.com of home care supports. So MySupport also, on top of offering the ability to match with workers in your local area, it also provides calendar and note-taking services that are all HIPAA compliant and meet the Iowa State guidelines for those services, so there's no duplication of any services if you use MySupport. And so it's very exciting because in our rural state of Iowa, this allows people that are wanting to self-direct their care to be able to link with those that are qualified and interested in providing services within their vicinity. The platform allows you to set parameters based on preferences such as smoking, whether you're able or want to be around pets, service animals, that type of thing, whether you need lifts, van support, whether you need specific languages that you might be familiar with, the types of language that you use, whether it be speech or limited speech, no speech, those types of things. So it's very exciting to really be able to narrow down the search that you might be looking for in a worker in your area. You can set parameters anywhere from 5 to 50 miles away from your local area just to be able to extend your search. But it really helps these folks to take hold and be able to direct their own services and locate people that are really meeting the qualities and qualifications that they're looking for in a support provider.
Well, so far, what are the main services that have been asked for?
Okay, so with My Support, currently we're outreaching to Consumer Choice Options program, and so that's most home and community-based services, basic services such as supervision, transportation, assisting with daily cares such as dressing and feeding, cooking, those types of things. So you get to choose from a whole list of those types of services, anything that fits under the Consumer Choice Options program waiver.
We probably should go back and talk just a little bit about the Consumer Choices option to
Sure.
make sure that people, that's a Medicaid program, right? And go ahead.
Certainly. Consumer Choice Options is a Medicaid program for qualified consumers that are receiving waiver services for home and community-based services, but that are choosing and have the ability to self-direct their services. So I believe that throughout Iowa there's been a number of hurdles that people have had to overcome to be able to direct their own services, things such as ability for them to find workers in their area, or even knowledge that the Consumer Choice Options program is available to them. So really our goal has been to educate as many people, both workers and consumers and their families, about the availability of consumer choice options so that they can choose and ask for that service and maybe get the support they need to establish their self-directed services.
So this is one way to help where people may not, you may not have that many people within your circle of support that can provide all that level of service, right? Then they could sign up for My Support.
Absolutely.
And find people that were interested in providing that kind of service. Now, before somebody gets on to, like I theoretically could, sign up to be a provider, but there are clearly certain things that I would have some challenges as serving as a service
Certainly.
provider. So I assume that a person that as a provider that signs up for My Support, they have to go through some sort of an application process through Medicaid, is that right?
That is correct. All of the same Medicaid expectations are still met that would normally be met under the Consumer Choice Options program. So what we encourage people to do, people that are interested in supporting others in their community, is to create a profile. And the profile begins to express their values, their lifestyles, their interests, and their abilities, the services that they're able to provide and willing to provide. So they're able to communicate that through their profile. After they've created a profile and started to make some connections with people in their area, they then, before any personal information is communicated, whether it be addresses or even last names, both parties have to sign contracts and the worker has to complete a full background check.
Oh, good.
So far, how is the word getting out there?
Well, we've really worked hard in a number of different areas. One of them is coming here to PATV, but we've also been outreaching to the local Centers for Independent Living, as well as training all the ISBs, which is
the
individual service brokers. Individual service brokers throughout, or I'm so sorry, independent service brokers throughout Iowa. The independent service brokers are the folks that help the Consumer Choice Options clients to create their budgets and their plans. So we've managed to contact and train all of the ISBs throughout Iowa. So we're also working to train all of the case managers that are working with these consumers. And then I've been going throughout Iowa to the Governor's Conference, to the Oh,
You came to see us. the
I did. I came to
Community
see
Partnership
you guys.
Advisory Council
Yes.
for the Center for Disabilities and Development. That was-
Absolutely.
That was really great. We had a number of parents and people with disabilities there that I think really were dialed into that conversation. I hope that some of them might decide to sign up. I'm sure that's the. I know it's still new, and so part
Certainly.
of what's your job right now is just to market it. And I think. I don't know, maybe we're a little more so this way in Iowa than in other states, but we don't always adapt really well to change. And
Certainly.
I think this is probably a new, if I were in this position, I'm not sure, it would take me a little time to think, okay, am I going to really be able to find somebody? And I'm curious, are you finding a lot of people saying, I don't know, or, are people resistant at this point, or is it just too early to
Sure.
to
Well,
tell?
we've had really different levels of interest and excitement. Really, our main response is, oh, we're so excited that this is coming to Iowa, because I think everybody sees the need. With Iowa being a primarily rural state, it is hard for people to get that knowledge of who might be in their small little town and who might be interested in providing those services. And sometimes it's a very costly endeavor to advertise as a personal individual.
Yeah.
They don't have the finances to advertise the way that maybe us as My Support can do. So that's the exciting part, is as people create consumer profiles, we can increase our advertising in their area to really be able to locate some wonderful workers in their vicinity. So we've had, some concerns and some worries that this is one more thing to present to consumers, with all these changes that are happening with Medicaid.
Oh, gosh.
And so we've had a lot of those conversations and just trying to explain that this is really just a tool that can help them access something that they may not have been able to access in the past.
And geographically, in the rural areas responding or the metro area?
I've had excellent response throughout Iowa. I actually
Okay.
just had the opportunity to create a map, because when you just have a big long list of zip
Yeah.
codes, it's hard to really get an idea of how
Yeah.
people are laid out. In regards to our workers, the spread has been very even. We've had a really great response, though, here in Iowa City and the Cedar Rapids areas. Those have been the highest response areas, which is exciting. But it's been very universal across Iowa. I was pleased, all the small little towns throughout, and it really spread very evenly across Iowa. So that means I'm doing my job right, and I'm really
You
getting the
bet.
word out there across to everywhere. So we're pretty excited about that.
This is just a question out of curiosity
Sure.
that just popped into my head. That's one of the things that we really pride ourselves here at Hello It's Us, is that
Yeah.
it is more about a conversation. And one of the things that I'm curious about is, do the providers, the support workers, I'm not sure what term
Certainly.
PAs, personal assistants, they must create a profile also then, is that
That's
correct?
correct. Profiles for both workers and consumers are very similar. We encourage both parties to add a profile picture that represents something about themselves. Doesn't always have to be a picture of themselves, but it just helps to really draw attention to their profile. They also enter all the information about whether it be a consumer, the languages that they need, and whether it be a worker, the languages that they offer. Also, pets and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
They also add things like summaries, and then they answer a series of match questions. And the match questions really reflect the ways that they want services to be provided, their lifestyles, their values, interests, because it's really not about just having a warm body in a position. We really
Exactly.
want the right consumer for every worker and the right worker for every consumer. So it's very important for both parties that the matches be very good ones. And so then they're given a list of their matches in their vicinity based on percentages that they can look through, and those profiles really can tell them a little bit more about those workers that might be available.
Do the workers have the option of of choosing a particular type of disability that they do or don't want to work with, or is that?
Absolutely. When creating your profile, you can choose a combination or one of several options. Children, seniors, people with physical disabilities, and people with intellectual disabilities.
And so if I were to go on and create a profile as a consumer, then, and there was a person that didn't want to particularly work with the person, I guess I would be classified as physical disability, that profile just wouldn't show up, right?
Certainly, certainly. It's not that the profile wouldn't show up. You can restrict or choose whether you want to see profiles that only fit the criteria that you're asking for, or whether you want to see a variety, but it will link them at a percentage higher if they are a total match to you. Because there are those that are more familiar maybe with seniors, but that are willing to work with children. And there's those consumers that are okay with it being the first time. So that's kind of something that the profile is able to relay, and you're able to edit the profile as things change. Maybe you learn new services and those types of things, and you can update your profile as you go along.
That's good. It can be an awkward situation. Keith, I don't know if you've ever been in situations
Yes.
like this, but I was needing to get to from one community to the other in Missouri, in another state that did not have bus service. And so I got referrals for these transportation little local providers. And I called one of them, and we talked about, could you take me on such and such a day? Yeah. And then she said, well, you don't have any kind of a physical disability, do you?
Goodness.
And I said, well, I'm blind. And then she said, oh, that's fine. I know all kinds of blind. And I thought, what if I did have a physical disability?
Certainly.
And, that would be just or what if she had an aversion to serving blind people? And it's just, it's an awkward position that I, as a
Certainly.
person that's done a fair amount of advocacy, still didn't particularly like to be in. And so I just wondered how exposed people that were accessing my support were.
It can be a very awkward position.
Yes.
I notice it more in the medical field.
Sure.
If an aide happens to go with me, the physician would ask her or him what's wrong, and they would automatically go, ask them.
Certainly, certainly. One of the great things about My Support is that there's also a messaging function, so you can send text messages and email messages to the person you might be considering to hire. There's also an option to enter your best and worst experiences, so you can relay some of those concerns that you might have right off the bat. And you can choose whether or not you want those things shown when people are first searching your site, or whether you want that to be a more personal disclosure once you've met somebody that you would like to communicate with further. So that's a really great part of the site, is that maybe you can get some of those less comfortable situations established right away before you actually have to communicate with them. You can also have several workers approved. So say you want to line up several people that might be available to transport you at some time in the future. You don't have to deal with that last minute. You can find these people on the site. You can have that communication and tell them that you would really like them to be available as a support to you. And then you can have them approved, finish their background checks, and available for you and approved for future scheduling.
Well, that's cool. So they would, I assume that before those, that actual scheduling, like if you were just having some of those text conversations or email conversations, you're still having a preliminary, you're kind of screening each other, basically.
Absolutely.
I assume that there's privacy built in so that a
Absolutely.
person doesn't divulge more information than they choose to until they get to a point of actually matching, right?
Certainly. There is no personal information divulged until contracts are fully signed. And at any point, like with Consumer Choice Option, if you choose to no longer have that person work for you, you can do so on the website, explain that to them, or eliminate them from your approved workers right there on the website. So it can help manage some of those more stressful conversations. But certainly, there is absolutely no information about exactly where you live. Your zip code is communicated for reasons of vicinity
Sure.
for the workers,
Yeah.
but your last name is not communicated, both for workers and consumers. Those private information is not used. One of the things I've had some concern about is that we do require workers to give their last 4 digits of their social security number when they're creating their profile, but that information is not ever released to the consumers. That's just simply for payroll, so that once they've verified that their services have been provided, they will get paid properly, and it communicates that with our state payer, Veridian. And so that just makes sure that they're matched up efficiently. We've had some situations where people have created profiles with nicknames and so forth, and so we need that extra level of match to be able to just make sure that they get paid the right way.
So your state peer, and this may be getting into complicated territory, but you're with Amerigroup, is that what, or you're the contractor is Amerigroup?
So we're not,
Or no, I shouldn't say contractor, but the MCO is Amerigroup that
certainly. So we're not exclusively contracted with Amerigroup, but Amerigroup has definitely benefited us. They have partnered with us to assist us in rolling out across Iowa. So we've been very privileged to partner with Amerigroup, and currently we offer the service free to all Amerigroup Consumer Choice Options clients. So that's very exciting, and we hope to open to other HCBS services here within the next few months.
So Veridian is the credit union, right?
Veridian is the state-approved
Yeah.
payer for Consumer Choice Options clients, yes.
Okay. I wasn't quite sure how that, in terms of the relationship with Amerigroup. So the managed care organization does not pay you, but the payment would.
That's
come
correct.
through
The
Veridian.
payment comes through Veridian, which is who the state has approved to
Correct,
manage
yeah.
those
Oh, great.
services. So anybody that has prior use of Consumer Choice Options can join My Support and handle all of those transactions right on the site. One of the things that in the past, the years that I was a targeted case manager, I noticed the big issue with oftentimes payroll, pay sheets, calendars could get lost. And then workers just didn't get paid, and it would take quite a bit of work to get that information
Yeah.
together again and make sure that those workers got paid. With My Support, that never happens. As long as the service is scheduled on My Support then reminds both the worker and the consumer. It will send text message reminders to verify each shift. So if the shift comes and goes, it'll send a message reminder for both the workers and consumers to verify that shift, and as soon as the shift is verified, that information is communicated back to Veridian immediately. So it's very exciting. There's no risk of people not getting paid. The other thing that really helps with is it makes sure it tracks workers' overtime. And so there's no risk of the potential for overtime accruing. So that's been another concern with sometimes these situations where these workers have worked more than 40 hours and the consumer then is responsible for that overtime amount. And so this avoids that issue. It also does not allow any scheduling to happen with workers that have not completed their background check. So you may have issued an interest in a worker, but if their background check and contract have not been completed, they cannot be scheduled. And so there's no worry that there's an amount of money that the consumer might be expected to pay because the state hasn't approved that worker yet.
So what if a person goes over? I mean, let's say that they work from, 12 to 8, and the 8 o'clock worker doesn't show up.
Sure.
And so then they end up staying,
Sure.
however many extra hours.
Sure.
There probably are there checks and balances to make sure that they would not be able to schedule the next day or?
Certainly, absolutely. Because when you verify the shift, you're able to make adjustments to be able to say instead of 2 to 4, you worked 2 to 7. And so that will automatically adjust the count in the system.
Sure.
The other thing the system is able to do is when you're first creating your profile, as a consumer, you're able to enter your monthly budget. And your monthly budget is what's approved by the state for you. And then the ISB, or individual service broker, helps you to determine what your budget is for your services. That amount is then entered into the calendar database. And so it will track with every scheduled service. It'll tell you you've scheduled this many hours at this rate of pay, and so at this rate of pay, you'll have 382 more hours that you can schedule for the month. And so it tracks that all along and is able to make sure that you don't go over your monthly budget. So there's never a risk that you're going to exceed your budget amount and have to pay out of pocket.
That's very cool. That's one of the wonders of modern technology, I think, and One question sort of related to that, just in terms of, it's this, I guess my, the generational thing is coming through, and I'm wondering, how in the world does all this work? If someone who is not a consumer choice option participant, and they hear about this, and they say, well, gee, that sounds cool. I'd like to find workers that way. I assume at some point, is there along in the application process like an ID or a consumer choices, something that would screen them automatically out?
And let them know. We certainly have a list of the Medicaid numbers that are approved for Consumer Choice Options program. And so we get that updated list from, right now, AmeriGroup on a regular basis. And so, yes, it will send that person a message if they try to create a consumer profile and maybe they're not yet approved for Consumer Choice Options. It'll send them a message to basically contact their case manager and discuss the possibilities for for Consumer Choice Options or self-directed services.
Out of curiosity, when Viridian was first approached, what was their reaction?
When they were first approached for this program?
Yes.
I think they've been pretty cooperative throughout. I was not in those first conversations, but the conversations I've been a part of, they've updated a lot of their systems and their computer programming to be able to communicate seamlessly with us. So from my perspective, they've been very cooperative in creating this ability to be seamless and create a one-stop access.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah, we are getting close to time already. You mentioned earlier something about a calendar on the platform offers. Is that
Certainly.
for scheduling or what?
Certainly. Yeah, the platform definitely offers the ability to schedule all of your workers, your approved workers, on one calendar. That calendar is where you can schedule, verify, and take notes for all service shifts that are provided. And then that information is automatically uploaded to Viridian for payment for the workers.
Wow.
The other thing that you can do with those calendars is you can print them off or download them to send to other people based on one worker or all four if you have 4 approved. So you can print out different types of calendars for yourself to be able to create notifications if you want to put them on your refrigerator or wherever you would like to have those.
That's great. That really makes it a lot easier for everybody concerned, I would think.
One of the biggest concerns is people that maybe are worried about learning the website. And so that's really what I'm here for. I really encourage people that have any concerns at all to just let me know. I'm able to walk them through on a webinar instructional. There's certainly, depending on vicinity, but I can certainly meet with them and be able to help them to learn the platform. And that's the other reason that we've taught both case managers as well as ISBs how to navigate the platform so that there's multiple people to be able to really help them establish an understanding of how to use the platform appropriately. And we would want to train any family members that want to be of support or community members that are of support, just to be able to know that there's multiple people to be able to really create a support system for these people.
Real quickly, what's the best way for people to reach you?
Sure. You can reach me on my email address. It's angela@mysupport.com.
Okay, and we'll work to get that posted visually as well. So, well, Angela, the time went really fast, as I knew it would. We want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come visit with us today.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to have been able to do so. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Angela.
And thank all of you for watching.
And
Thank you very
have a
much.
good week out there. Bye now.